Hello, everyone. It's Lindsay Landry, intuitive and spiritual business mentor. And today I have a special guest for the Real Magic container, these sacred conversations that are really intended to open your heart and fuel your soul. And I'm so delighted and honored to have Lauren here with me today as our special guest. And our theme that we're going to be talking about is trusting the feminine. And so Lauren has been this huge activator for me, really, since we met. She's been like the portal for me to open more to my feminine, and she's been my client, my student, and now she's my friend and also has offered me tons of support and healing in her specialty. And yeah, I'm really delighted for her to be here and for us to see what magic comes through.
Yes, I'm so honored to be here also. And yeah, I'm like just as curious of like what is going to come out of my mouth. Like what is going to come forward for us today. And it feels like that is just the thing. Is like, are you willing to show up in life, in your relationships, in your work, like whatever, in your life as yourself, and trust what comes forward, trust what comes through, you know?
Totally.
And so yeah, I feel like we'll be diving into that.
Yeah, so before we dive in, do you want to just say a little bit about yourself and the work that you are currently passionate about and doing?
Yes, I always forget this step. I'm always forgetting to be like, hey, let me tell you who I am. But yeah, I'm an energy healer. I've been working with Lindsay, with you for years. Lindsay was one of those like divine breadcrumbs on my path when I started. I had postpartum depression, which is the thing that started this whole healing journey for me. But probably even before that, I started as a yoga teacher about 8 or 9 years ago and got totally lost in motherhood, right? Totally lost in life, and started counseling and was breadcrumbs, right? Like just followed all these random little nudges that came forward that led me to energy healing, which led me to Lindsay, and pulling a class together in like a few days or something, like super crazy.
Yeah,
And
like
it
you
was
were
just,
the activator for my feminine even back then. You're like asking for what you want. And I'm like, oh, let me just see if we can make this happen.
yeah, like you had like just offered a Reiki 1 class or something. I saw the old page on your website and I was like, oh, let me see if she can do another one, you know? And she's like, let me see. And you filled it in like a few days. You're like, okay, yeah, we're doing this. And now I get what a big deal that is. You know, at the time I didn't really understand how that was kind of magic. And now the healer I was seeing at the time told me that, Lindsay, that you and I would be important on each other's paths. And I was like, I just didn't really get it yet. And now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, I found you for a reason, for sure. And so with working with Lindsay and with working with energy, I've started to more fully embody who I am and create space for who I am, and the bigness and the weirdness and the awkwardness and messiness, all of these things that make me, and also my magic and my heart and my wisdom and my love, really. And so in doing this, this whole journey has led me to realize that I'm here to help women heal, and to heal the mother wound, essentially, that we all carry in our wombs, and to help us unlock our emotional experience of life, and to live a life that's just more free and expansive and real and honest and true. And I see the way I used to be so locked up and the way so many women are locked up. And yeah, I'm here. I feel like I'm here to just sort of free us from that, from this belief that we need someone outside of us to tell us how to do things or what to do, or that there's some sort of external format or structure to perfection that we need to figure out. And we're all left feeling wrong because we can't figure it out. And to access this deeper piece that knows. And so that's kind of
Yeah,
what
and
I do.
I'm feeling too just you know, the other side of this mother wound where as the mother, or even just, you know, as the child, sometimes we step into the parent role too, where then we step into this role of like holding and tending and, you know, needing to be the safety or needing to be the thing for, um, you know, whether it's our child or maybe it is our mother or maybe it's our client. And um, so I just wanted to name like the both sides of this wounding because that feels really, really important as we're kind of diving into this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And that is like, I feel like that's one of the things that is getting in the way of so many people's relationships, like their marriages and their experience of parenting or being the child of a parent, which kind of encompasses everybody, right? Is that, yeah, we get so wrapped up in trying to take care of or tend or micromanage or fix people around us because we love them, right? Like the mother is always, um, what we've been taught is of mothering, right? What we've been taught is love is being outside of ourselves and tending to the outside. And really, we don't realize that that's actually can be really harmful and damaging, not just to ourselves, but to the people who are reciprocating it. And learning to be able to parent ourselves so that we can be in better relationships, to have healthier boundaries, feels really, really important. It feels like really forward in the collective right now.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so thank you for naming that.
Yeah, so I know like as we kind of were getting here, we were feeling into possibly doing a meditation. Does that feel right for you right now?
Yeah, I think that feels good because I feel like where I'm at is like I feel like there are so many different avenues, right? There's so many possibilities or different ways we could take this conversation. And I feel like I have so much to share. And what was really present for me this morning was trying to find the logical piece, right? To figure it out with my mind and be like, okay, this is what we're going to talk about, and this is how I'm going to talk about it. I'm realizing that that's like so not why I'm here. And that's not why we're here. That's not the energy we're being invited into. And so, yeah, I think it would feel nice to drop into a meditation and just sort of feel out the energy of who this is for and what they're experiencing. And I don't know, just connect energetically and then let the 3D follow from there,
Mm-hmm.
if that feels good.
Yes.
Beautiful. So, yes, wherever you are, just getting nice and comfortable. Yeah, taking some big, deep, clearing breaths, closing the eyes, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Taking a couple more like this together. Yeah, and really seeing if you can expand into the back of your lungs, the back of your heart on your next big inhale. And then pausing, holding it, and sort of shaking your body, holding all this energy, and then leaning back and gently exhaling through your mouth. Letting your breath flow naturally in through the nose and out through the nose as you just settle in here. Arriving here in this moment, this space, your body. And I'm really present to this space in the back of the heart. So see if you can just bring your awareness there, maybe leaning back, lengthening the back of the neck a bit, smiling with your collarbones, softening the shoulders and the jaw, the cheeks, the eyes, the belly, the legs. Yeah, and just noticing the parts of you that are gripping for dear life, protecting, striving, trying to figure it out, trying to protect this part in the back of your heart. And just letting whatever comes forward come forward. You can trust yourself. You can trust what comes to you in this space. And so instead of searching for it with your mind, see if you can just breathe and be present in your body and instead invite it to come to you. Invite the awareness to you. You know, what is happening in your body right now? And I'm just going to hold some quiet space for a moment and sort of send some energy to whoever's receiving this right now. Just noticing the parts that are tight or afraid or unsure, that feel unsupported or unseen or neglected, malnourished, the parts of you that really truly aren't getting enough of what they need, the part of your heart that is not being seen, not being experienced, not being felt in your relationships and within your own experience. And just witnessing them, holding space for them. And notice how seeing your heart afraid sort of activates the part of you that cares about you. The same way you care about others. When you see yourself as this scared little girl in your heart, I invite you to see where in your body is her mother. The part of you that knows how to take care of her and love her and knows how to protect her in a way that's real, that actually works, that feels good. Where is her space in your body? You'll probably notice it in your low, low belly, between your hips, in your womb. Noticing your legs, your roots, and your fire in your belly, and your throat, and your heart, and your mind, and the space between your eyebrows. I'm really present to like this space in the womb being uninhabited. So just notice, is your womb energy in your body? Is it locked up? Has it been kicked out? And how does the rest of you feel with her absence? And yeah, from here, I feel like we can just let it be, just notice, observe. There's no need to fix it or heal it, and we can't in 10 minutes, you know? Just witnessing her absence. And then we'll slowly come back to this space using some soft blinks. You can open your eyes and just sort of re-arrive here. And I, of course, am crying. I feel like you're always going to have tears on this show. This is always going to be a crying thing. I just feel so much grief in my body for the women who are disconnected from this space, from this inner mother, from this source, this internal source of everything that we're looking for outside of us. I've been there, you know, I spent a lifetime there of desperately trying to get my husband to love me, trying to get my mother to love me, or my father to notice me, you know, trying to be good enough, trying to make friends, trying to figure out women, you know, and sisterhood was like not even, I didn't have close friendships, you know, I didn't feel safe with women. I didn't feel safe in any of my relationships. And I was so desperately searching for something that would make me feel better. And I was expecting it to come from outside of me. So then I was resenting the shit out of everyone who wasn't making me feel what I wanted to feel. I was resenting my husband. I was resenting my parents. I was resenting life in general. I felt really deeply unhappy, but I didn't feel like I could allow that. You know, I remember driving in the car and I would always just look outside the window, which was something I did as a child a lot. And I would daydream, you know, when I would look at the sky and I would see nature, it was this really beautiful, filling experience, right? And then as I got older and I got more disconnected from myself and I kept trying to be perfect and trying to figure out life, I found myself looking out the window feeling this like deep dread inside of my body that I wasn't even allowing myself to recognize. Like I could feel this like impending doom about the fact that I wasn't really alive. I didn't feel alive. I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't feel fulfilled in any way. And I was terrified about that because I thought it was too late. I thought it just meant that I had done life wrong, that I wasn't born this special breed of human like the people I see who look happy or like they have it together. And I just internalized it and didn't let myself feel it. And what would happen is it would come out so viciously in attack of my mother, my father, my husband, or it would come out through like OCD, feeling really highly responsible, this extreme sense of responsibility for my child, and a lot of really fearful parenting and trying to control everything and everyone around me so that I could have what I wanted. And then, you know, then my husband left and it was this opportunity. I knew that this was the opening for something more, that this was the thing that was going to heal me. And Lindsay, definitely, I don't know where I'd be without your support through that. You were able to help me see myself and come home to my soul, you know, to the part of me I was really aching for and searching for. And if you had told me that's what I was going to get from go and get my palm read in New Orleans like a whole month prior, you know, to even meeting you, I don't know that I would have believed I could have it, you know. If I had had the logical plan to get from there to here, there's not a chance in hell I would have started that journey because I would have never believed it was possible, first of all, and it would have terrified me, you know. But each little breadcrumb brought me closer and closer to who I am. And so I just feel I can see women when they're in this locked up space, and I can see what's possible, not just from my own experience. I feel like my experience has given me the courage to do this work and the courage to sort of stand in myself and offer it to other people. But I feel like I've always been able to see people's hearts and see who they really are and what's true and real about them in the best way. And it wasn't until I woke up what was good in me that I could use this gift for the good and, you know, seeing the good in other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that and for naming those places where it's like we're longing and longing for all of these external things. And I know for myself, often when I'm in that place of longing and disconnect from myself, I attract the disconnect from the external world as well, where, you know, my relationships attracting the not being met, or, you know, my animals are doing a thing or whatever.
Right. For sure. And I think it's because like we can't really experience in our relationships with others what we can't experience within ourselves. And like Yeah, so I've been given some hard boundaries in my relationship recently, and it's been such a gift. Like in the past, I used to see him closing up or putting up walls or boundaries essentially as a rejection of me. And I spent a lot of time really focusing on that rejection of me rather than, I mean, I didn't know any other way, right? Like all I saw was like, here's this person I love and I want to love you and I don't know how. And now I can't even see you or get to you. And then once I had someone who could hold space for me and invite me back into myself, it became this habit of like, okay, well, when the world isn't meeting me how I want, it's not like that I need to go address each individual thing. It's rather like, where am I not meeting myself? How can I take some time to pause and reconnect to me? And almost always when I do that, the boundary softens or I receive some opening or like some connection that feels even better than like the logical connection I was trying to get. And I feel like it's really easy. This is another thing that's been really forward lately is like it's so easy for us to put all the blame on the outside people and to feel like if they would just show up different, then I could do a thing, right? Or I could feel better. And it's a defense mechanism, really, to keep us from dropping into doing our own work. And so I just see so many women really unhappy in their relationships and unhappy with their children, doing a lot of controlling, fearful parenting.
And I want to just name
And
too, because like I'm
yeah,
having this experience, I love how we always like kind of mirror each other in like, I don't know, like we feel the in between spaces of the energy. And
mm-hmm.
so I'm kind of having the crunchy experience of this pattern where it is like the protection and the so even during the meditation, I could feel like the back of my heart, this piece that I've been working and my mind kind of like, well, like, I don't know, like I'm supposed to be holding the space for this and like, what's happening? And like, you know, how do I let go and trust the container and trust the container, the creation, right? Like the energy that's moving through. And not have to like be the one holding the container and holding the thing. And I really want to name this because I think like there's a way that even when people are further along in their path, right? Like my life looks pretty good and my business looks pretty good and my like relationship is crunchy at times and it's pretty good. Like me and James love each other and we do our work and like there's still these opportunities to expand and grow even more, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I,
Yeah, like you
I
don't have
wanted
to
to just
be, yeah.
name that as a way of like, we don't have to like be totally in the woundedness to still have
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity for more. Like the invitation to expand to, and I know you've been working this recently,
Yes.
like
Like
letting
my
more
body, I feel
in.
myself. Yes, it's true. And I do find I used to work with people who would come to me and they were like in the total undoing, right? Like totally like in the wounding. And now I find people coming to me who are further along and are still experiencing the thing because we're always going to have that opportunity to grow and expand into more. And yeah, you're right. We don't have to want to be just wanting out of a really painful experience. We could just be doing this work because we want to expand and see like what else is possible here. And that's where I feel like the womb really comes in, once we're able to like open the heart and have some safety and get things feeling stable, open our heart to ourselves, then you access that womb energy and it's like, okay, so what else? What more do you want? Right? Like, let's be an invitation to more. And how can we open to even better than this already is?
I feel
Because
like I
this,
want to breathe into that.
yeah, let's pause there.
Let's breathe into more.
Because, yeah, and I feel a shift in myself. Like when I came on this call, it was like I was really present to the wounding. And now, yeah, I feel like we've made space for that. And so let's make space for more. What is the more that's wanting to come to you?
And so I was having this
Mm-hmm.
experience this morning. I know we were kind of messaging back and forth. And I was processing and kind of creating space for this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I ended up I went to the bathroom and, I'm sitting on the toilet or whatever, and I'm looking at the wall and I like saw my shadow and then there's the light. And it was this whole experience of like the both, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we want to avoid these places where, like I was telling you, like I'm feeling kind of crunchy, like I feel this thing in the back of my heart. And there's this way that like when we're wanting to avoid that, to go to the light, like actually the light enters in the shadow.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like this conversation, this whole thing has been like, of course, it's like shapeshifted into the perfect like expression of that, right?
Even yeah, getting here, I'm like, wait, I think I need to adjust my light. And
Right? And I'm like, do I need to make it darker in here? And it's true. It's like we have to go into the wounding first. We have to be in the shadow. We have to make space for the shadow so that our light can exist. Like we need both. I definitely am not a believer in the like, yeah, let's make things pretty. Like, and that's what I love about this. I can show up without makeup on and messy hair and like my messy kitchen in the background and like it's real. And that's what kept coming forward. I kept wanting to be like, how do I put on the perfect show? Right? Which is like the normal thing we all find ourselves in. Like, how do I do the thing right or well so that I can be basically in my light and not in my uncertainty? My ego really wanted to like have that protection, I guess, in place. And I'm seeing like I just kept hearing. So I was having a whole thing arriving here today also. And I just kept hearing like, can you just be yourself? Can you trust yourself and trust the creation, trust the container and not having to have that logical flow. And I can see how it's like when we're willing to be ourselves, it's scary because we don't have the edges or the tape that we normally keep around ourselves. But life is always going to sort of bring you back. If you get off track, you're going to get brought back. Like I feel like I started to get off track and Lindsay brought me back, when you named the other side of the piece. And the ego wants to be like, oh my God, I was doing a thing wrong, right? But my heart and my womb are just celebrating the fact that I know that I'm safe. And then I can be myself and I can trust what comes forward because I'm co-creating with another human. It's not just me doing it. And it's not like there's all this pressure on just me to do the thing. And I think it opens up this really beautiful opportunity to connect with something bigger, to connect with spirit, to connect with the crown, and invite in that guidance and that trust that we're going to be supported and nudged in the right direction and brought back to ourselves over and over again in so many different ways.
yeah, and what's coming to me as you're sharing this, I feel my womb just like lighting up, and this idea of like giving and receiving, or like who's holding and who is like supporting, and like all these constructs that our mind creates, and I know I feel them as a healer, right? Like as I said, I'm birthing this heart magic program, and literally like this morning I'm like surrendering to the container of it. Like I'm not in control of this, and like holy shit, like can I navigate this creation that literally I am in, and is a divine creation that I have no control over? And can I surrender to that, right? And can I surrender to not holding this conversation and like needing to like be the thing of it, right? And instead, even this, right? Like this real magic conversation, and instead like this idea of the feminine, right? So when we can like surrender, like when we go into our feminine, what was just coming to me so beautifully as you were talking is like this way of like we're receiving, right? So like I'm trusting in receiving you, and then you're trusting in receiving me, and it becomes this co-creation. It's like I'm not doing a thing, you're not doing a thing, like literally, like we're flowing together. And it's like it brings me back to that vision of my cats this weekend, like licking each other at the same time, and it's like this yumminess, and it's I think it's such a gift, right? Because when we can come to this place, even the idea of money, and like, in the coaching industry, there's all these ways of like, well, I'm the coach and I'm the authority, and like
Right.
you're the client, and we're taking away people's power. And like,
Mm-hmm.
can we just, be willing enough to come into our own feminine and trust ourselves so that we can trust
Mm-hmm.
each other?
Yes. Yes. Like, can I trust my process so that I can trust your process, what comes forward is, so I thought I was going to share this, and then I was like, I'm not going to share it. And now maybe I am. Well, I'm like, really about to share this thing. Yeah. So there's a way. Yeah. I'm going to pause. Yeah. Like when we can trust people's process, we can stop taking it so personal and focusing on, sometimes people's process looks like a rejection of you, right? Or it looks like a wall, or it looks like, yeah, it can feel like death, right? And just trusting that in some way that process is supporting you. So my ex-husband and I are doing a thing, and like that's the only way I know how to describe it. We're doing a thing. And there are times where like I want to be really offended and hurt or rejected by his process. And I can see how before this, about a year ago, I was in my process, hurting and rejecting him. And I could see so clearly it was an opportunity for him to grow and heal. And, I could see how in the past when I was rejected, it gave me that beautiful wall to come home to myself. And so I could feel how I was doing that. And so now I'm like back on the other end of it. And I just trust the process so much. I trust his process, and I trust that if his process is, being inaccessible to me in a sense, then it means that there's something for me waiting inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to take that so personal, or so it doesn't have to feel so scary. So it can come to that, or like with money, I've been super struggling with money. Like I'll have times where I'm negative or have $7 in my bank account and don't know where it's going to come from. And there's no logical route to it. But if I can just trust that it's part of my process, and trust that like, okay, this not having money in my account must be doing a thing for me. Otherwise it wouldn't be happening. Or this not being able to lose weight must be happening for me. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, I guess that would mean you'd have to believe that like life is just this big cruel joke. Right? And so when you see the obstacles in life, like blocking you from what you want, we can get so lost in the stories and make it personal, or have a reason for like why we can't get through the thing to what we want. When really, like, can we trust that like this is all one much bigger process that we're all in?
I want to come back to two things. So I want to like just address the money piece first, because I feel like you really are such an expression of the feminine, and like your relationship with money, I feel like is this feminine expression, and like your willingness to, you're still saying yes to yourself. Like this feels important to name, so I hope you're okay with me naming.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. Yes,
like,
yes.
You still say yes to yourself, and you still invest in yourself, and you've spent years investing in work with me, and like I know you're still investing in yourself and in your work, and like money is a thing, and yet it still shows up for you because you're still saying yes to you, and you're still using it as an activation to work your layers and let it heal you and let it unravel you, and come even deeper, come home even more to yourself. And that feels really important, because it's like sort of like how this conversation in the beginning, you know, there's this way we can be in our wound and like we can go into the story of our wound. But like when we start to just see it as that, right? It's a story. And like when we can claim our energetic sinners and start to make choices from the center of ourself. Like, okay, yeah, I'm having money struggles and, you know, I really desire support, so I'm going to invest in myself. Or, you know, and I'm really desiring to deepen my own practice, and like this feels like a fuck yes, so I'm going to do it and trust the universe and trust the medicine and trust life to flow
Yeah,
through.
for sure. Yeah, I had a moment of saying yes again this morning, you know, like I'm looking at doing this journey thing. And yeah, and even when we signed up to do ceremony space together, when I signed up to do Unleash Your Magic with you, I like had no money, you know, there was no logical way of how I was going to make these payments, you know, but I just knew it was a yes to it. I knew it was the right time. And we had some pause in between working together, you know, so it just felt like I came back to you in the perfect time. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to find a way to make this work and I trusted that it would work. And I think you have to choose that trust first. I mean, and you invited me into that, you know, when I got separated, I was like distraught and in the wounding of it and wanted to like make him so bad and, you know, really wanted to punish him and be a victim. And you really invited me into trusting that it's happening for me and trusting the bigger picture. And so I was just like, okay, you trust me to trust life, so I'm going to trust life. Like I'm going to trust you and I'm going to start trusting myself and I'm going to trust life to work out for me. And it's like, it always does, you know? I'm alive in a house with food, you know? I have gas in my car. Like I'm doing great, you know? Like it's showing up for me and the magic that I received is so much more. Like if I could have chosen like to be debt free at the end of our time together or to be where I am now, I would choose where I am now any day. And now I'm in a place where I trust myself more and I'm being myself more and money is starting to flow to me more easy, you know, or in bigger, more sustainable forms, I guess I'll put it, because it's always shown up. It's always shown up.
Yeah, and I
think we have to be
I feel like money is just simply a reflection of, you know, masculine energy. And so, you know, we can use our men also as a reflection of that masculine energy. And when you were sharing about your relationship stuff, I was thinking of this because last night, I was doing your embodiment practice this morning and I'm in her embody program. And so I was doing the embodiment practice and I was just sitting with myself, you know, and like feeling my body and being present with my body and present with this place in the back of my heart. And like what started coming forward is like, I really, you know, sometimes wish James would just hold me. And, you know, we were laying in bed last night and I think we started to cuddle and like he blew in my face, like playful, like a little kid, you know? And I was like, we're not like kids, you know? And my heart immediately goes like you go over there, I'm gonna go over here. You didn't even brush your teeth. Like that's gross and so fucking annoying and not cute and not sexy. And he rolls over like, you're not even fun, you know?
Yeah.
And so this morning I'm like doing my embodiment practice or whatever and laying there and I'm like, God, the back of my heart is so fucking serious, you know?
Right.
And it's like the mirrors, right? And so it's so tempting for me to want to make him wrong. And it's like when I can just see we're both in our shit and it's like his little inner child really wants to play and it's like mine thinks she has to hold it all together for everyone, right? And be the responsible one. Like, really, we're
Yes.
supporting each other. We're loving each other.
Yes. Like even when we're in our shit, we are always supporting each other. I love that. And it's so freeing, right? Like it just helps you open your heart to them. Like whereas if you get in the story and you're like, he's immature, blah blah blah, and like you stay in making him wrong, it like creates more disconnection and it takes us further from what we really want. But when we're willing to see like, okay, like we're both doing a thing and we're both like in our shit, but we also both have all this other possibilities, then it's like we can connect. You can stay connected through the disconnection.
Totally. And in the seeing, like, oh, actually, he's trying to help me open, he's trying to help me
I
light
really feel
up.
him like
He's trying
inviting you
to
to
help.
play.
Yeah. And so it's like my womb wants to play, and my womb is like, come on, heart, let's play. So then that's the reflection that I get from the outside, right?
Yes, that's so perfect. I love it.
And annoying, but it's perfect.
Yeah, it's annoying and so perfect. Right, like when I have like $7 in my bank account and I'm not like, this is perfect and I'm so excited about it. Right, but I'm like, okay, this is doing a thing for me. And, where can I open to receive or whatever the thing is. And I think too, so what's coming forward is like an ability to be able to like ask for what we want is so powerful. And to be able to see that in our system first is really important. And to see like, okay, so maybe I want a thing, but my heart doesn't necessarily feel safe to receive it. Being able to just be in both and have space for both. I feel like the energy of that, what I feel like is the magic of womb energy is it holds the space for like things to shift without you having to do anything. So it's like by knowing that like, yeah, my heart's a little serious and crunchy and like afraid to like not be supporting everyone. And my womb is holding this invitation to play, and just trusting that having that invitation there is enough to start shifting the energy. We'll start to see things shift in a new way. So like James might not have thought you'd be laughing and playing with me about him blowing in your face, but it still like created this invitation to like into some play.
Yes.
Just I feel like life is so illogical and the feminine is totally about just trusting in that illogical path.
And
I'm just
also,
willing to be here.
like, I just want to name that I let my heart throw a temper tantrum in my morning practice. So it's not about bypassing or just, that can be play too, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
letting all of our parts and pieces express themselves and feel. And, even just as I've been working with this heart piece, it's like what I notice is like it's just this part of me that like has kind of been like the teenager that didn't know how to speak up for herself. And, I was so sensitive as a child. And I'm sure many of you watching this, like you can relate. And, it's like when we have extreme sensitivities or like we're so emotional, right? Like what I was seeing in my practice this morning is like, I had this huge opening in the back of my heart where cosmic energy just flows through me. And so as a child or a teenager, when you don't understand at all what the hell you're feeling, and then you're processing all this collective energy and all of these feelings, right? Of course, that part of me like went into serious mode and into caretaking mode and into like, okay, I'm going to hold this fort down, right? I'm a warrior. Like, that's what I do. I hold the
Yeah.
fort down. I ground shit. And so,
Yeah.
like, it's, we just have to be super compassionate with ourselves too, as we wonder what else is possible and create space for the more and remember what is really true.
Yeah, for sure. And that brings me back to the money piece because I feel like there's a part that I like didn't name that probably needs to be named. It's not that I've had no money, and been like in my bliss about it, right? Like I've raged about it and grieved it, and it's like I love that it's like it's not always pretty. And that grief and that rage and allowing yourself to feel what you feel, like the times I let myself really feel what I was feeling about my situation, whether it was my money or my relationship or my business or my work, like whatever it was, it's the thing that creates the opening and the permission to start wanting more and to come at it like from a place of acceptance of what is while being allowed to desire more. So rather than like, oh, I don't want to be broke anymore, like I want abundance, and turning my back to what is, instead it's like creating space for all of it. Like, yes, there's all this grief and this fear and this stuff, and there's also an invitation into something more. And I think once we learn that, we learn to embody both of those pieces, like all of life just opens up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're invited to participate, right? To like not just sit on the sidelines. That's what was coming forward for me this morning too. Like, you know, we can sit on the sidelines and we can feel the energy activation. So even those of you who are like watching this, like you're getting energy activations. So, you know, it's almost like sitting on the shorelines of the beach and you get the
Yes.
waves. Or you can like really like take the invitation and go in the water and like swim and float and like really dive in and play and experience life and experience what is possible.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I think, and it's like, yeah, you can have all this wisdom, all this insight, all these like energetic experiences, like, but until you're like playing with it, until you're really participating and living it, it's like, what's the point? It all just kind of hangs out up here in your mind, and you don't really get to experience any of it. It all stays theory, you know, and theory is great. It's where we start, but it's like time to start bringing it into our bodies and to start participating with life and co-creating with life and choosing what we want, you know, rather than feeling like dragged around by life and like we can't really choose what we want. It's like, yes, you just have to decide, right? And have the courage to be like, I don't know how this thing is going to work out. I just know that I want it, and that's enough. And like have faith in wanting and trusting that that's going to bring me what I need to be able to play and experience and participate and co-create with life. It feels so important. It's like you don't get the proof first. You have to dive in. You can't know what it's like to play in the waves until you play in the waves, right? And or to dive deeper until you dive deeper. You only know what you're willing to experience.
The last piece that just feels important to like maybe name or talk like a little bit more about before we close, just this like wanting with the mind versus like when it's a true like desire or you know, because I think like we are taught not to want because we're wanting with our mind and then we don't get it and then we're disappointed or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
Yeah, I feel like that is like such a thing. We're taught that like, well, I don't get what I want, so like why bother? But we're not really letting ourselves fully like desire. I feel like there's a difference between like wanting something and desiring it. Like to me, desire comes from deep within our body, you know, and we have to be willing to access that deeper part and to sit and surrender and be like, okay, what do I really want? And usually we're avoiding it because that thing we want is going to bring us into a life that's more authentic and real and more supportive of who we are. But the parts of us that don't feel like enough are really afraid of that, you know, or the ego, the parts of us that would have to die are afraid of that. And so we have to be willing to drop deeper than the mind and drop into the body and see like what is the thing that like lights you up, that lights your belly up, that deep belly burn that gets your fire going and brings you to life a little bit. And like if you're not used to desiring or wanting things, it's not going to start with like something massive, right? It could start with like, okay, I just want to go on a vacation without the kids, right? Or I just want support, or I want, you know, it may be much smaller. It may just be like, I want to eat a certain kind of food for dinner, you know, or like I want to go make a smoothie. And just trusting those breadcrumbs that come from that inner place. For me, it started with listening to really small desires, like the desire to listen to music again. And I put on a song that like cracked my heart open, you know? And you can't know what's going to happen from going make that smoothie or going turn on the radio, and where that's going to bring you next. And so for some of us, if you've been doing this work, which I feel like if you're watching this, you have some bigger desires, you know how to access what you want. You're probably not just starting this journey. And so it's about being able to look at like, or build that trust in yourself from the little things and seeing the ways you've been supported, and trust that like that deeper desire, however big or impractical it seems, you wouldn't be desiring it if it wasn't for you. And if you feel it in your body, it's for you. And do you really believe in a world where the things that are made for you are inaccessible? I don't. Like, that's not the world I live in. I live in a world where like miracles and magic are possible. And it's so good. Yes.
So good. So any invitations you want to extend to our listeners as we come to a close?
Yeah, what I feel really coming forward, the first thing is just like an invitation into courage. So like if you already know a thing you want or have an inkling of where you're headed, I just invite you to practice courage, and cultivate that courage and do the thing, and to get support along the way. I mean, I definitely invite you to receive support, because holy shit, it will change everything, having someone who can hold the edge for you and bring you back to you, when you get a little lost or unclear. And so I would love to invite anyone into a womb awakening who is desiring that wants to access this deeper peace. Like, come play with me. Let me hold some space for you. I would love to help you awaken this womb and this new energy and this like new way of being in relationship with life.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'll put your information in the comment. Cool. But Lauren also has a Facebook community, the Awaken Family.
Yes, the Awaken Family. I always forget the practical parts. Always. Yeah, the Awaken Family.
I'll put that, and then also her contact information, her website, in the comments below. And I'm so excited that Lauren's going to be a support for Heart Magic as well. So super, super excited and delighted to have her just helping support the container with yumminess and, womb openings if needed, and holding the edges. And I feel like she's going to be supporting me. But
helping you surrender to your
reminding me to be in my feminine. So
yes. So good. I can't wait. It's going to be magical.
So yeah, if you want some deepening into your magic too, you can come play with us in Heart Magic. So
yes. Come play in Heart Magic.
Yeah, as you soak all this in, come join us in the Soul Inspired Success community and share what's moving through you. Share where you are needing to let go of your mind and just allow yourself to flow into the feminine. And also share, where are you being asked to step more into courage and to go for what you is calling you and you're desiring.
So good. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love all of you.